Alright, so this just popped up in my feed about older type of phones, and then, they're a resurgence. But I think a lot of them run Android, so you're not going to buy a phone like this if it runs Android and not be tracked or any of that other stuff. But let's just see what the BBC News has to say about this. I have to kind of bite my tongue about certain things that I would love to comment on, but because it's kind of political or whatever. Um, it's very dangerous to have an opinion anymore nowadays about anything. They're talking about some kid. Let's see. These devices are similar to some of the first handsets that people bought back in the late 90s. These phones are actually newer than the late 90s right here. That one's got the camera right there where it folds. Those were pretty cool. Let's see. So, dumb phones are continuing to enjoy a revival. Google search for them jumped by 89% between 2018 and 21. Yeah, because they're charging like $1,000 for a phone anymore. The relaunch of the Nokia 3030 or 3310 handset, first released in 2000, one of the biggest selling mobile phones of all times. Nokia pushed the 3310 as an affordable alternative in a world full of high-spec mobiles. 5 years ago, psychologist swapped his smartphone for the Nokia 3310, initially because of the long-lasting battery. However, he soon realized there were other benefits. Before I would always be stuck to the phone, checking anything and everything, browsing Facebook or news or other facts that I didn't need to know. Now I have more time for my family and me. A huge benefit is I'm not addicted to liking, sharing, commenting, or describing my life to other people. Now I have more privacy. Let's see. Before checking everything, such as buses and restaurants on my way, that is impossible. So I have to learn to do all these things beforehand at home. One maker of dumb phones in New York, company Light Phone, slightly more clever than the norm for such products, is handsets do allow users to listen to music and podcasts and link by Bluetooth to headphones. Yet the firm pledges that its phones will never have social media, clickbait news, email, an internet browser, or any other anxiety-inducing infinite feed. What is this? The Light Phone says the sales of its handset pictured have soared. Is that a phone? It doesn't really look like one. The company said it recorded its strongest year in 2021, with sales up 150% compared to 2020. This is despite its handsets being expensive for dumb phones. Prices start at $99. Light Phone co-founder, blah blah blah. Anyway, so interesting that actually people are going back to that kind of stuff. I remember having a phone like this and like that one, and also had what was called a PDA. It was a little like Palm Pilot or whatever they called it, and you store all your calendar stuff in there, and a lot of stuff. But I think really what's ruined America more than anything is social media and technology. And it's cultivated a generation of people that are just not normal. They're not okay. They all have problems, they all have issues. They're not happy. You know, you see these people walking around with their phones and they're not happy. They're not smiling. You know, I mean, they're like dull zombies. So, you know, it is kind of, it makes sense, but I don't think you can convince the world of that. But the problem is that big tech companies had planned this out way ahead of anything else. When, you know, Google first started, they already knew what their long-term 20-year goal was. And you're looking at it right now where we're at. I mean, I don't know what year Google started. I think about 2004, somewhere around there. About 20 years of Google now, dude. And the first smartphone, I think the iPhone launched in 2007. I think the Android phone launched in 2008. So we basically are coming up on around 20 years of smartphones. And prior to that, there was phones like the Palm Trio and stuff like that. And there was other phones that did have internet. I had a Sanyo M1. It had like a 1 gigabyte memory card in it. And the cool thing was it had like an outside screen that kind of looked like a MP3 player. It was a really cool phone. And it had a large speaker on the back of it. It was basically like a media phone. It was made for playing music and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, what happened to the times of like where people like were okay with just like music and media like that, you know? Back when everybody had an iPod, Nano, Mini, or whatever, you know. And, you know, people would walk around listening to music and stuff like that. Things have definitely changed. But, yeah, it would be great if everybody ditched their smartphones and left all that kind of stuff to browsing the computer at home. Because it's a huge distraction, and like even for like employers and stuff like that, maybe they constantly have to worry about these people, you know, sitting on their phones instead of doing work, and then, you know, distracted driving and all sorts of stuff, you know. There's honestly like nothing that I really need to be connected to. I mean, have you seen how nasty the world is out there? I mean, like, you want to be connected to that? I mean, like, you want to keep your finger on the pulse of negativity? I mean, I don't know. I just need a phone in case I need to call to find something out, or, you know, availability of things, you know. And carrying around a phone that basically does everything for you that your computer does for you is cool, but at the same time, all your information is in that phone, and it's not so much if you lose it that somebody's going to get your information and bad things are going to happen, but like you're paying for the cell phone plan for them to basically sell your information. And so your phone runs really, really slow. And if you go onto like a channel like Rob Braxman, the internet privacy guy he calls himself, he sells de-Googled phones. He talks about de-Googled phones. He explains and shows you the differences. So if you have a phone that's basically unlocked, uncarrier branded, and running an anonymous Google type of setup where there is no signed in account, it's amazing that the battery life of that phone will triple compared to the exact same phone that's running regular. Why is that? Well, that's because they're constantly sending and reporting back to HQ. And they're sending information back and forth to Google, back and forth to the cell phone carrier and all that. So if you have a phone that's basically not tied to the carrier and not tied to Google, it's going to have a really long battery life. So there's a lot to that too. Let me see if I can pull up a Rob Braxman just so you guys can check out his channel. Rob. Oh boy, he's right up there right away. Okay, let's go back here and see Rob. There's he has a VPN. He has the phones he sells. What is this? Embarrassed, I got swindled by Rob Braxman. We got to see what this says. About 7 months ago, I bought one of Braxman's phones. I know that they're not a good value, but it was just to play with and not use as a daily driver. The fact that he has a YouTube channel made me overlook the early 2000s design of his website. But anyways, he shipped the phone roughly 1 month after I paid and only gave me the USPS tracking number. So I had no idea what was happening with the phone once it got to my country. 4 months later, I was told the phone was sent back to Braxman since he sent it to an address that didn't exist. He was really kind and apologetic and said that he would send me a phone from his newly acquired EU warehouse, but it would take a couple of weeks. Needless to say, the phone was never shipped, and since it's been over 180 days, I can't request a refund through PayPal. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I'm just curious. Yeah, this guy said, I doubt he just built all this to scam people purchasing de-Googled phones. I'd say he probably forgot about it or thought it got to you. Maybe contact him again and tell him. Oh, gee, yeah, that's what I would do, you know. Yeah, everybody else saying the same thing. Contact him again. Anyway, speak to him again. Postal Service exchanges tracking information. Blah, blah, blah. The guy is a scammer and a salesman, rents virtual servers and sells them as a VPN, buys cheap phones, flashes AOSP and sells them as secure phones, buys Raspberry Pis and sells them as secure routers. Okay, so how is that a scammer? I mean, salesman, sure, we all got to make money. I mean, you think he's doing all this stuff for free for everybody? I got a de-Googled from him, fine, super overpriced, but I don't really know what I'm doing and really didn't want to risk bricking a brand new phone. His website and store is a massive pain in the ass, though. His channel contains a lot of false information. He regularly shows that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he sells rebranded Chinese phones with shitty Lineage OS fork installed. No, he's not legit. So, all these people always say all this stuff, but they don't ever back it up with facts or proof or anything like that. And who the hell do we know this person is? We also can see their account was deleted 2 years ago. So, this is the problem with the internet. Everything must be taken with a grain of salt. But anyway, I was going to just show you guys his channel really quick. So, this is the guy. If you just look him up on here, there's a lot of videos about just different stuff, AI and encryption. I mean, look, the de-Googled phones. So, he has a lot of information, and it's worth looking at if you're interested in, you know, a simple phone, or you're concerned about your privacy, or you're concerned about being tracked. Now, the easiest way to just not be tracked is to just do not carry a phone on you. Do not own a phone like that. Leave it at home. Let it do its thing. You know, if you're worried, you know, and you're some, like, you know, espionage, whatever, you're some Snowden kind of dude. You think Snowden carries a phone? Snowden don't carry no damn phone. Anyway, we don't need to have a phone. That's the thing. We don't really need it. I mean, I know there's a few guys, you'll hear them on the radio, they don't have phones. But, like, in this day and age, almost everybody does. And so, all the companies are able to, you know, track everybody and scam the old people and stuff. And, you know, I mean, I get some pretty legit looking scammy messages and stuff. It's really kind of a nasty environment. But anyway, this channel's worth checking out, so I just thought I would make a video on this and share it with you guys. On to other things.